101 video. Today I will talk about zombies, if they are real and if there is a possibility that there will be a zombie outbreak in the future, or if it's all just a lot of nonsense. The word zombie is from the Haitian voodoo culture and it means reanimated corpse. Several great nations have in the history had their own version of the zombies. Scandinavia had the Draugr, and the legend says that the Draugr was a dead Viking who had been reanimated. The Draugr feasts on human flesh and in battle was the most horrific enemy you could oppose. And to kill a Draugr you had to combine a hero's bravery and strength with magic. Western Europe had the Revenant, and an English clerk, William of Newburgh, wrote a book about revenants, and he is said to be the first zombie hunter in the history. According to him, a revenant was a beast devouring other humans, and was human itself, of course. He tried to understand them, and all the reports of revenants he heard was from farmers around in Great Britain. His book about revenants became very important for the church at the time to learn the clerks and the Christians how to fight this threat of undead humans who ate other humans. China had a Jiangshi, a person who did not get a proper burial and took revenge on the living for not getting the right kind of burial. And to defeat a Jiangshi, they had to do it with a lot of strength and magic. And that's why in the ancient China, they tied up and nailed down the corpses when they were buried, just so they would get a proper burial and not risk of the corpse to transform into a Jiangshi and feast upon other humans. Arabia had the ghoul, often females who had lived an impure life, for example as prostitutes. They lived in the desert, calling men to them by singing, dragging the man to them out in the desert, miles from the civilization, like a siren does. And when the man was close enough, they would reveal the true nature as horrified monsters with sharp teeth and just eat him. Even in our oldest text called the Epics of Gilgamesh, Ishtar says, "I will raise up the dead and they will eat the living, and the dead will outnumber the living." To read something like that in our oldest found text just gives you the creeps when you first read it. I mean, this was thousands of years ago, and this man Ishtar says, "I will raise up the dead and they will eat the living, and the dead will outnumber the living." He actually talks about a zombie apocalypse where the dead will come back to life. And just think of it. The first actual zombie that we know of is actually Jesus himself. He was killed, he was buried, and he resurrected. Sure, it's not the real zombie that we see in movies, which is a flesh-eating, mindless creature, but still, he was resurrected from the dead like a zombie. And the book of Revelation actually says that the dead will come back. They talk about a zombie outbreak where the dead come back to life. So zombie is not a new word, but it was not until after George Romero's movies that the word zombies was taken back. So in the history, in our history, there have been legends about zombies. There have even said that in Canada, in the year 1879 in Alberta, after a long winter, a man named Swift Runner said that his family had died of starvation. But when the villagers came to his home, they found the skeletons of his entire family. He had eaten his wife, his 6 children, his mother and his brother to survive the winter. He then claimed to have been possessed by the Wendigo, which is like a monster that possesses you when you have devoured human flesh and makes you crave more. And not to talk if there is a possibility that there will be a zombie outbreak in the future. When the Ebola virus was spreading and the media was just writing everything about it, an old couple that was confirmed dead. The paper was done, they had died of the virus and was more or less dumped in this mass grave with other dead Ebola victims. Some said that they saw this old couple rise up from the dead and just walk back like nothing happened. Started talking and acting like before. Yet some said that they woke up in the grave and just walked away like a zombie. No interactions or anything, while some said there was interaction, they talked to them and stuff like that. Then it went quiet. Nothing more was reported about that incident with the couple coming back from this grave when they were confirmed dead from the virus. You are probably familiar with the Miami cannibal attack, when Rudy Eugene assaulted Ronald Popo, a homeless man, and started to eat off his face. Rudy were naked, he was extremely violent, and he just attacked Popo, who were shocked by everything and just tried to fend him off, but he said that he was insane. He growled like a dog and he just started to pound him, pretty much feast on his flesh. When the police arrived, they shouted for him to back away or they would open fire. He growled to them like a rabid dog, kept eating on Popo's face, and was shot by the police several times without dying, until he finally died after I don't really know how many bullets. A lot of people said in the media that Rudy Eugene were under the influence of bath salt, and some said marijuana, and some say both, and some said that he had no drugs at all in his system, that he just attacked Popo the way he did without being affected by any drugs. They called it a cannibal attack, they called it a zombie attack, but we don't really know if he was under drugs or not, because people say a lot of different websites that says different, so we don't really know. 1991, Jeffrey Dahmer in the United States ate his victims because he did not want them to leave. According to documents, he killed his visitors and tried to make them live again. One example of what he tried to do was drill a hole in the head and pour down acid while they were still alive. That's a creepy part. He tried to make his own zombies, and that's proof that someone actually have been trying to create their own zombies. Cannibalism is still practiced in some parts of the deep Papua New Guinea. I know that's not the right pronunciation, but I have no idea how to pronounce those words. And one of their customs is that they eat the brain of dead relatives who had been killed by diseases. Not very hygienic or healthy, but that's their tradition. In 1950, a lot of those persons were infected by a virus called kuru or shivers. And in the principle, that's a virus who drills its way in your brain, making it like Swiss cheese with a lot of holes, and I mean a lot of holes, and they leave you like an empty shell. You may become aggressive, you die, but most of the cases the victim were just walking around blank. They just walked around, you cannot talk to them, they did not talk, they barely ate anything, they just roamed around aimlessly like a zombie. And the virus is mostly found in cows, actually. The mad cow disease is one version of the kuru virus, where the brain is infected. That alters your personality, it alters everything by destroying the brain and just leave some functions or some parts of the brain intact, so the virus, the parasite, can live on, but the host is pretty much dead. So, is zombies just an old legend, or is it something that we humans can create? Some says that if we combine the right strings of known viruses like rabies, kuru, mad cow disease, and a lot of other junk, they can actually make a zombie virus. I'm not kidding. They can. At least that's what they said, that they can make a virus. But we don't know if it's true or if they're just lying, trying to make some good TV or make the internet talk about it and so on. So I would say that I don't know if zombies are just a legend or if we can create them. So I think that we actually can, in the future, create zombies. But I actually doubt that there will be a zombie outbreak, because we have a lot of security protocols, and for example the CDC's virus areas, they are extremely well sanitized, and a lot of different things that actually keep the virus from spreading if, for example, they break a vial of the virus.